It seemed an awkward reality of the war in Libya, EU member states allegedly backing opposing sides, with the perception Italy and France were in effect fighting each other on the other side of the Mediterranean. But now, in an effort to clear up confusion and concern, France has publicly backtracked from its support of Libya's rebel commander Khalifa Haftar. The Libyan government, backed by the UN and Italy, had criticized France for its perceived support of a rival force, at a time when Haftar's self-styled Libyan National Army is trying to seize the capital, Tripoli. Paris says any praise it has for Haftar is limited to his efforts in fighting terrorism. Well, to discuss this, I'm joined here in the studio by Guma el Gamaty. He's the head of Libya's Taghyeer party and a member of the UN-backed political dialogue group. And Mohamed Eljarh is next to him, the founder and CEO of the research and consultancy firm Libya Outlook. And in Paris, we have former diplomat Anne Giudicelli. She's the CEO of the consulting firm Terr, Risc. Okay, good to have all of you on the program. Guma el Gamaty, let me start with you. It seems as if nothing can stop Haftar. Even calls for a Ramadan ceasefire have only seemed to galvanize him. He's telling his fighters, no, use Ramadan to go and fight harder.
Well, I think if one thing that's going to stop Haftar, and it's already stopping him, is the people of Libya, the people of Tripoli, the people who are fighting against him, who stood up to him and prevented him from penetrating into the capital and taking it over by force and causing a catastrophe in terms of human disasters. And also taking the capital means taking power and means taking us back to the dark days of dictatorship and despotism. So I think after 35 days, he has failed. He's now being pushed back. He's now pushed back further and further away from the capital. The capital has been secured, and I believe it's only a matter of time before he's totally pushed back and defeated, and then he will hopefully go back to where he came from, and that will end his military campaigns and military ambitions, and with it, his political ambitions as well, because post-2011 revolution, we will never go back to one-man totalitarian rule ever again, and not go back to tyranny at all.
Right. Mohammed, is it an indication that he doesn't have the support that he thinks he has, given that we've gone through all this trouble, more than 400 people killed, 50,000 displaced, thousands injured, yet the defenses are still holding and the fighting continues? Does it tell us that Haftar is not the Gaddafi-esque leader that he thinks he is, and the people are pushing back against him?
It's important to remember that there has been a stalemate in Tripoli for more than 30 days now. For any side to claim that they can actually decisively win this war as it stands now, I think is a little bit far-fetched. I think all parties involved in the war, regional and also international parties, should now be seriously thinking about a ceasefire on humanitarian ground, for example, to give a little bit of time for negotiations, for a political dialogue to be restarted, and also use this crisis, if you like, as an opportunity.
Haftar attacked at a time of political dialogue, so why should the other side trust him?
Haftar attacked for a number of reasons. One of them has been that if he is part of a political solution and the capital, Tripoli, where he does not have any forces loyal to him, why would he go there? Who's going to protect him if he's going to there as the head of the army? And there was the Abu Dhabi agreement, where there were supposed to be an arrangement by which Haftar would be able to actually have places or positions around or within Tripoli so that he could become then part of a political solution. Basically, Haftar does not trust the armed groups that are in Tripoli, and he wants to have military presence in the capital in order to make sure that he is able to secure his seat of power, if he like. He is part of a political solution.
Guma, I'm going to get your response in a second, but I want to bring Anne in because, Anne, I want to ask you if the Europeans have made it worse by initially, at least from the perspective of the French, initially supporting Haftar quite openly. Have they made it worse?
Well, you know, Europe is not the only one player in that ground, in that crisis. You have many other foreign, let's say, interferences in that crisis that some of them are backing Trablus and the other one are backing Benghazi. So it's quite complicated now, the situation, and Europe is one of them. And as you know, Europe is not the the whole European Union. You have also two European countries that are more influential in that crisis. Of course, you have Italy, where Mr. Sarraj is actually nowadays. And also you have France, where Mr. Sarraj also will come to visit President Macron at the tomorrow. So I mean, you have also Germany, which has a big importance within the European Union, but not as a European state as Italy and France have.
Right. Guma, what's interesting is it seems as if the outsiders are waiting for somebody to win. They just want somebody to win so they can then look at oil deals, reconstruction deals, stabilizing the situation, caring about migration, caring about terrorism. How do you feel about that? That whether it's Haftar or whether it's the government that you support, they just want somebody to win.
Well, that is the reality. That's international politics. That's pragmatism. Countries, even the major countries like America, France, and Russia are only looking for their interest. And whoever can win in Libya, whoever can control Libya, whoever can stabilize Libya, they will do business with. Now, the thing is, we have a government of national accord, which is recognized by the whole world. It's the only legitimate legal government in place. And we have this rogue general who, just because he wants to operate as a general commander of the army from Tripoli, he has to take it over by force, shell it indiscriminately every night, and shell it with Grad missiles, and kill as many people as possible, even to go to the extent of destroying half of the capital. That's a ridiculous, ludicrous argument. This man never believed in any peace, never believed in any deal. He does not want to be partner in any setup. He only wants to be at the top of the pyramid. But he wants to be number one like Gaddafi days.
Okay, but we talk about geopolitics. Certainly, he wants these things. We talk about geopolitics, right? The reality, historically, right? Mao wasn't recognized until he took over, right? He was a rogue general, and so on. Isn't it, as we talk cynically about geopolitics, the fact that he has so much power, doesn't that worry you? You can have 50 governments recognize you, 100 governments recognize you. He's got more power than you on the ground right now.
Well, if he has so much power, he promised his followers that he will take over Tripoli in 3 days. And now, 35 days later, he's being pushed back even further. Where is that power? No, clearly, he's not winning. The war is not going his way. So, this is his final push. This is make or break. This is winner take all. If he does not take Tripoli, if he fails, he will be totally out. So he's not winning. He's not as strong as possible. He's using militias. He's using extremist Salafis. He's using Sudanese mercenaries. He's recruiting young boys.
One of the arguments is that he's keeping the militias in check. He's the guy keeping the extremist militias in check. That's why so many people support him.
But this war showed that who are the real militias and who are the disciplined, organized. Look at the way his people are treating prisoners. They torture prisoners. They kill them at cold blood. Whereas the GNA forces, they treat prisoners very humanely according to international law.
Mohammed, is this...
he's just a leader of a bunch of militias. Just like the militias he's accusing of.
Is this just a warlord, a rogue warlord?
I don't think he is just that. I think he represents a project that many Libyans have subscribed to, and that's stability and security first. And it is also a project that is supported regionally.
No matter how many people he might kill along the way to get to that?
Any military campaign, unfortunately, will definitely result in huge casualties. And this is why I think it's wise that the war in Tripoli stops now, and that now the militias are in check, and now that there is a balance of power in Tripoli, that we truly can go to negotiations and to political solutions. And also the fact that 30 days and no party has actually been able to win this war decisively is an indication that this war could actually be prolonged. And also we see foreign interference. For example, we were talking about France, but targeting France alone is a little bit unfair. Why not talk about Saudi Arabia or the UAE or Turkey or Qatar and these countries that are supporting different sides in the war, for example? So it is not just a Libyan conflict in reality. It is definitely a regional one, and also there is an international element to this.
Let me ask Guma if you agree with Mohammed when he says that many Libyans subscribe to this project of stability no matter what?
Many Libyans prior to this war on Tripoli believed that Haftar could be a man who would stabilize Libya and give them security. After they saw the way he attacked Tripoli, indiscriminate air bombardment every night, grad missiles on residential areas, killing of prisoners, now his support, his popular support, has almost evaporated. A year ago, if he went for elections as a president, he might gain 60%. Now he will not even gain 15%. I'm sorry, he totally lost it. Okay, and the other thing is to say that we agree to a ceasefire now is to equate the aggressor with those who have been defending their city and their capital. To agree to a ceasefire now is to hand Haftar a political victory. Haftar has to withdraw from all the parts he controls now and go back to his positions, status quo, prior to 3rd of April. And that's what the Sarraj said. That's what the government of National Court is saying. They will not deal with him. They will not negotiate with him. He will no longer be a partner in the political process. Mean more. Excuse me, let me just finish. He has to go back. Otherwise, the war will go on. And the people who are defending Tripoli and defending the cities in the west, which Haftar attacked from a distance of 1,000 kilometers, have every legitimate right to go on and defend their cities until he is defeated.
There are many inaccuracies in all of this. Haftar has Tarhuna, the city of Tarhuna, 80 kilometers from
occupied
Tripoli.
Tarhuna and Gharyan.
Yes. These cities supported him. He
no,
actually entered
Gharyan
without
does not
actually
support him. He took it over by power. I come from Gharyan.
He entered
you
without...
You can't tell me about my own city.
He entered without firing a single shot. He took the city over in a night, in a few hours. So there was support, and some of the armed groups there have actually flipped. So to try and make it that he came from 1,000 kilometers, and then he managed to actually be 25...
Okay, so he scooped up a lot of power and a lot of cities along the way. You disagree, you both disagree on how that happened.
It's also very important. The GNA has failed.
Okay, so with that, the GNA has failed, and with the UN-mediated process, Hassan Salame and so on, do enough of the power brokers actually trust that the UN can actually mediate this process, or is the UN now an irrelevance at this point in time?
Well, I do believe that the UN is still and might be and might remain only the sole mediator in that. And what he has to do is just to push for stopping the backing coming from all those foreign powers. I mean, not only those Western countries that your guest mentioned, but also, of course, the regional powers, like, as it has been mentioned as well, like Saudi and Emirat, and also, of course, Egypt and Turkey and Qatar and all those countries. I mean, they are having a very big role in what is going on now. So what can be done is a big pressure coming from, let's say, a neutral actor, who is Hassan Salame, the UN envoy, to push and make a big gesture, have a big posture on that. That means that stopping all this interference, the time to finalize a ceasefire, and to open the way for a real peace negotiation without regional or international interferences.
Okay. Well, for the moment, the fighting continues. Haftar's LNA just shot down a government plane outside the capital, south of Tripoli. Yes.
Because nobody has got, for the moment, the power to push him to stop.
Right.
Anyway, as it has been said, I agree with your guest. I mean, he's going to fail, obviously, military. But he wants to go. At the maximum he can go. For what? For having a piece of the cake at the end of the day. I mean, that's obviously clearly the meaning of that strategy.
Okay. Unfortunately, I've got to wrap and move on. But it's carnage in Tripoli for the moment, and we hope it settles down. And Giudicelli, Mohamed Eljarh, and Guma el Gamaty, I thank you all for joining us on the Newsmakers.
Thank you.